Okay, Matt. Well, recording this fresh off of Lakers Nuggets game two. Still a little bit raw. It's been a couple hours now since the ending. Obviously, have a lot on my mind regarding that game and the series overall. We will get to that. It was actually a pretty good game.
It was a very good
Definitely
game,
one.
actually.
Well, I
A
only say pretty
classic.
good because of how the Lakers ended up on the losing side. But definitely a playoff classic. Unfortunately, on the wrong end of history there. But for playoff games, the earlier game as well, the Knicks and the Sixers also had a crazy ending. But you know what? We'll get to all of those games in just a bit. Do want to recap first the other games. So getting to the play-in, we'll start with the play-in. Lakers took on the Pelicans, and the Pelicans definitely looked like a better team in the playing game than when they had closed out the regular season against the Lakers. It was a good game all the way. Honestly, probably the biggest factor. Uh, I don't want to blame injuries or allude to any kind of injuries affecting the outcome of the game itself. But if we're being honest, Matt, the Zion injury was huge. Good break for the Lakers there because I mean he just was getting to whatever spot he wanted to on the floor, off the dribble. No one could stay in front of him one on one,
Yeah,
and
they
it was
they
just too
tried
easy.
multiple bodies. They tried Rui. They tried LeBron. They even tried LeBron, and he just straight up bullied LeBron. AD got bullied. Jackson Hayes got bullied for the limited minutes he was in. So he looked like 2019 or 2018, 2019 Zion from Duke, like just physically
It
imposed.
was Yeah, physically imposing, but really I think I said, my top pick for an athlete was Ant in the league. But man, I don't know if there's a physical specimen actually like Zion. And I kind of forgot about Zion, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean he had a great year. And in that playing game, man, like you said, whoever they switched on him, he had an advantage in some way. If he wasn't quicker than you, he was definitely stronger than you. But if you were stronger than him, he had that quick burst first step that he could get past you, and he has a handle. He kind of always had a handle for a guy at his position. So he can, get to the spots he wants and he couldn't even really leave him open in the mid range because he could knock those shots down too. So honestly, glad CJ also had a pretty rough performance. I know he was throwing up bricks all over the place. So thank you, CJ, for helping us out there. But yeah, Lakers, I felt like at least in the playing game, Matt, they did enough, took care of business, but it was a double-edged sword because I've been on the fence, right, about them having to play the Nuggets in the first round. And yeah, I mean, I had every right to have my doubts as evident of the series score thus far, but we will get to that in just a little bit. Anything else you wanted to touch on for that playing game, though, Matt?
I mean, I know there was a lot of talk, and even we talked about it on the last episode where we were like, as a Lakers fan, do you want them to win or do you want them to tank to avoid the Nuggets, play that winner take all game, play the Thunder in the first round? I think the Lakers did what they had to do. They competed, they won the game, which they were supposed to, because that's what athletes do. You compete to win, not to, play for seeding. In the true competition of sports, you play to win the game. And the Lakers did that exactly. kind of a, I wouldn't say a cakewalk. Well, it was looking like a cakewalk, and then the Pelicans kind of made a run late. The Zion injury obviously was huge, but I think you got to give flowers to uh, D'Angelo Russell. I think he had that huge shot that really kind of, I don't want to say iced the game, but really gave the Lakers, I think it was a 4 point lead at the time after the three. So that kind of just settled you in. And then from there, it was just a free throw game. So supporting cast, it's kind of the theme, I guess, of the Lakers so far in this playoff run. But supporting cast check in that playing game because when the time was when it was needed, somebody delivered, and it was D'Angelo Russell in that game. So they did what they had to do. They competed. They get to play the Nuggets. You take a swing. They're playing the defending champs. We'll get into it. How about that? We'll get into it. But they did what they had to do in the play-in. So credit to them.
And just to stick on the rest of the playing games, Matt, obviously a little bit of a shocker for our predictions, but that same day, the Kings knocking off the Warriors, and pretty, pretty handedly, I would say. Um, just real quick, Matt, to touch on that, probably like we kind of texted that uh, likely the end of this big three Warrior dynasty. They got four rings, but yeah, Clay, really tough way if that is gonna be his last game as a Warrior. I mean, ending 0 for 10, really, really unfortunate though, I think, with Clay is that bouncing back from those two injuries must have been so tough to do. And, you know, Clay, he wasn't pre-injury. I mean, he was athletic, but he's not one of the most athletic guys that's going to be out on the floor, right? So I feel like it was kind of a good and not good, but the double-edged sword is well, he's just a jump shooter, so you don't really need him at his peak athleticism to say necessarily for his game to translate post injury. But I think the one thing that probably hurt him the most is I don't know if people remember this, but Clay at the peak of his career was a true 3 and D player, and he would take the hardest matchup if it wasn't Draymond. The hardest guard matchup that was Clay. He was the on-ball defender, right? For they tried to get him onto Kyrie a lot in those finals. So yeah, Clay definitely just unfortunate. Never really seemed to bounce back to the prime Clay that we were used to seeing. But yeah, Matt, sounds like he's going to explore options as well. I don't know. I think this is probably it
Yeah,
for the
I
Warriors
think
dynasty.
I think so too. For some reason I feel like there's a shot Draymond could come back, meaning he's not going to get traded because I think he is under contract. But Clay, there's some signs that point to, he's a unrestricted free agent. I would think he wants, a pretty decent sized deal. Probably going to be his last deal in the NBA, I would think. So yeah, I heard a lot of rumors. Maybe Dallas is interested. Maybe the Lakers. I don't know, but I saw Dallas. I
I
know.
would still take Clay. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine LeBron kicking it out to Klay Thompson, one of the greatest shooters of all time? Well, we can fantasize later, but I did see a couple rumors that, teams are definitely going to be interested. So is there going to be a team that kind of overpays for Clay? I think so, honestly. If you're on that fringe playoff, competing team, he might be a guy that you splurge a little bit that can get you over the top, that brings championship experience. So yeah, it's just kind of sad because all good things have to come to an end eventually. But this Warriors dynasty, man, one of the greatest runs that we've seen in our lifetime. not just in basketball, but probably in sports. And it's up there with, the Patriots, you could say, maybe the 90s Yankees, you could say, even the Spurs in basketball. So just a great historic run. But yeah, I think this is it. I think only two of the big three returns in some fashion, and Steph's not leaving, so it's one of the two.
Yeah,
Draymond or
yeah,
Draymond or Clay.
yeah. Steph is definitely staying. Um, so we'll see how the rest pan out. I mean, maybe they shock us and blow it all up and just keep Steph. Never really know how it's gonna go, especially in the NBA nowadays. But getting to the rest of the other playing games, Matt, we don't need to dive too deep, but at least our East predictions were correct. So the Sixers and the Heat end up getting in. A big blow for the Heat, though, in that win. Or, I mean, I should say, in the loss to the Sixers, Jimmy Butler gets hurt and now looks like, uh, well, he didn't play in the play-in, but the Heat took care of business against the Bulls. But looking like he's not going to be available for this series with Boston. So that's just really unfortunate. Obviously Miami still dangerous as the eighth seed with Jimmy. I mean, as evident as last year, right, with that finals run from the eighth seed. But let's just call it what it is, Matt. With this retooled Boston team and without playoff Jimmy, one of the mythical figures and players of the NBA, yeah, I think you can stick a fork in it. If
Hmm.
Miami even wins, I think if they win two games, I would be shocked. Um, even if they win two, so yeah, I think it's time to just write off Miami. Uh, Boston is moving on to the second round. Honestly, as good of a coach, Spoelstra is, as good of an organization, and the Heat culture, like you can only overcome so much. And losing your best player in the playoffs against the number one seed is, I think, just enough for us to look at Boston
Yeah,
moving
I
on.
think so.
Um, and then yeah, so the Sixers also, moved on. Joel Embiid is back, but he's not. You can tell he's not 100% out there against the Knicks. I mean, he's still getting hurt with like new injuries, the
He
eyes,
gets
the
hurt on his
knees.
own
It's like,
highlights now, so it's like, what the heck is
yeah,
going on?
yeah. So we can get to the series later, but the Pelicans did end up beating the Kings, so they're locked in with OKC. And man, I'm not gonna lie, Matt, just looking in retrospect now, do I wish the Lakers maybe slipped and played the Kings
Oh
instead?
no, because
Because
the
I mean
Kings have the
OKC,
number. The
nah, okay, that's
Kings.
true.
Kings own the
They
Lakers for
had
some
they had
reason.
a well, Denver does too, man. So
But then
I
you
guess
don't even make the playoffs. At least you're still
that's
in the
true.
dance. If you're in the dance, you got a shot.
That's true. That's true. And it is a 7 game series. Even though things are looking a little grim. But you know, playing okay, we've established that, Matt. Uh, but yeah, let's get to this series thus far. You can keep it short for game one. Nothing, unfortunately, nothing too shocking. Anthony Davis has a great game. LeBron 27 himself, but Denver showed us why they are the reigning champs. I thought just outplayed the Lakers in the second half, even though the Lakers started off really strong. And it's kind of just been the theme of this Lakers team throughout the LeBron and AD era. It's who's going to be the third guy to step up, right? Especially post bubble. Looking for D'Angelo, looking for Austin Reeves, someone to step up. And game one, D'Lo, yeah, he was bad D'Lo that night. He was ice cold, not in the good ice that we want from D'Lo. So I mean, 1 for 9 from three is just not gonna cut it, especially against this Denver team. So, game one, you kind of chalk it up to um, home court, and everyone's kind of amped up. Tonight's game, though, that I want to get to, and I'm sure we both have quite a bit to say about tonight's game. Man, I just thought what a wasted opportunity for the Lakers to really steal a game and go back to LA 1-1. Being up, I believe they were up 20 at one point in this game, Matt. Um, and Denver is going to make a run. They're the defending champs. They have, I mean, arguably the best 1-2 pick and roll combo in the entire league, you could say, in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So you knew Denver was gonna bounce back, but just I mean, so many things throughout this game, so many things I could say, but I think the first thing that we want to start with um, is D'Angelo Russell had his bounce back game, right? Came out on fire to start the game. I think he went like 5 for 5 from his first
Yep.
5 attempts. Um, and he was hitting difficult ones too. A couple of them were pretty deep. So I was like, okay, D'Angelo, he's locked in. And with how Anthony Davis was playing in that first half, I think he only missed one shot in that first
He
half.
started 14 of 15, which is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
And and LeBron, he was doing his thing, getting his points, getting to the rim, knocking down open shots. I was like, oh man, this is the game. Um, because we got the third guy. It's D'Angelo tonight, and honestly, the Lakers were playing pretty good defense against Jamal Murray. Austin Reeves, I think maybe didn't have the offensive performance that you were looking for, but he's not the most he's not Vando, right? He's not that elite level perimeter defender, but I thought did a pretty good job tonight on Jamal Murray overall, especially in that first half, making him take tough shots. And then a couple highlight blocks from Braun too, right? One being the absolute stuff of Jamal Murray at the rim. Jamal easily was going up to pack it, but
Yeah,
LeBron just said,
he
"Nope,
he's
not today."
clearly he's clearly never seen the Tiago splitter video.
That was literally almost the same type of block, but I it is a little less impressive because it's Jamal Murray, who's what, like 6'4". But I mean, he had the dunk earlier in the game, so that was a big moment, I thought, and just everything was clicking for the Lakers, right, in that first half, and going into the third quarter. But I, man, I just
Let it out, let it out.
to get to the negatives. First of all, we have to talk a little bit about the officiating and how it all went down. Um, couple the two challenges actually, I thought that Denver made. I was a little bit surprised on the first one, but especially the one where D'Lo gets smacked across the face on the drive, and after review it gets overturned. I was like, how is that even possible? Like, you literally see the defender's hand smack D'Angelo square in the face, and they're not going to call that a foul? Like genuinely, how does that even happen for so many reasons, right? Like, first of all, the call on the floor was a foul, so they reversed the call on the floor when you see him getting hit in the face. Like, how does that even make any sense? It makes zero sense. Um, and I know Mike Malone was saying, "Oh, are you surprised at the free throw discrepancy after game one?" And he's, going to make his comment, "Oh, well, the Lakers were plus 500, right? Going into or after the regular season. So we weren't surprised with how the free throws situation kind of worked out and everything. But I mean, the Lakers only took 13 free throw shots tonight as a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, who are constantly in the paint, constantly driving to the hole. And what do we always say, Matt? We just want to see it called the same both ways. I don't we must sound like a record at this point because basketball, football, baseball, right? We just ask the same thing of the officiating, especially in big time playoff moments. And alluding to a point you kind of texted me earlier, down the stretch in that game, right? So I believe Jamal Murray goes in for a drive, gets kind of bumped by LeBron, but he sells it and he did a good job of selling it. But he gets his two free throws. I believe those were to tie the game at that point. And then, LeBron comes down, same thing on the other end, and he gets whacked as he drives in for a layup, no call. And it's like, what are we doing? Right? Like you literally are gonna call something like that um at the end of the game, but now that it's time for LeBron to get it, no, like we're not gonna call it Mr. Scott Foster. And so okay, I guess that's that's just gonna be how it is in this one. And it was just pretty frustrating to me, Matt, to see that because that was a big swing point in that game, right? Obviously, to give Jamal Murray the two free throws to tie the game, but also to not give LeBron a chance to take, a 3-point lead versus a 2-point lead. And obviously, that 1 point came in huge at the end of the game. So just the officiating, I hate that we even have to talk about it, but just to see it go both ways. I mean, even the Lakers at certain points, I thought they were getting some ticky tack fouls. So it's like which one are you gonna let them play, or are we blowing the whistle tonight? Like it's just so frustrating to see, something happen on one side or one possession and not get it reflected on the other end. So I don't want to talk anymore about officiating because I hate talking about it, but I mean, sometimes we have to, right? Especially in
I mean,
situations like this.
we do it every week at this point. Seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems like we do it every week. But let's get down to that end of the game sequence, I guess, Matt. And, first of all, I think you got to tip your cap to LeBron because, I mean, he was just making play after play to really, keep the Lakers ahead. He hit two big threes in a row. And I thought, man, okay, that was the cushion that we needed. It pushed it um back to an 8-point lead with about 5 minutes to go. I'm like, okay, I think we got this. But then a couple, I think it was a turnover here and there, and a couple missed shots. Denver is just their late game execution off of that pick and roll. It was just too good. Uh, and I knew we were in trouble when Jamal Murray started to get it going again because you know, playoff Jamal Murray is no joke. You talk about playoff Jimmy, but playoff Jamal Murray, man, we've seen it going back in the early stages, going back to that 2018
Against
Portland
Portland.
series, that 7 game, and man, that pick and roll was giving Portland trouble back then, and they've only just gotten better at it. And credit to Denver's GM and front office, but they really have built a team to where late game execution, um, they have all the pieces to surround that pick and roll to really make it work. Right? You have KCP, who is catch and shoot. Michael Porter Jr., who had an insane game, he was hitting big shot after big shot. It was like just as the Lakers are starting to pull ahead, he'd hit a tough contested three to keep the Nuggets in it or to tie the game. I thought he was to me uh one of the unsung MVPs of Denver because I felt like his shooting really kept them in the game. But KCP, Michael Porter, and then Aaron Gordon off the baseline cuts. There's so many things that you have to be aware of as a defense. And I thought the Lakers finally kind of were able to put a lid on that Denver offense. But lo and behold, Jamal Murray just caught fire at the worst possible time, um, as well as Jokic, just doing whatever he kind of wanted, um, in the post against Anthony Davis down the stretch. I don't know if AD was just gassed out, but I think he only took one shot as well in that fourth quarter, Matt. So, man, just the culmination of Denver being too good and LeBron not being quite able to will the team back. I know D'Lo and Austin Reeves hit a couple big shots, but man, it just so frustrating because I felt like the Lakers really, really did enough to win tonight. And you got to just tip your cap to Denver, I guess, in this one because when it counted the most, they came up big. And I I really am. I'm in a weird spot. I'll get to my predictions and how I'm feeling moving forward, Matt. But I don't know. I know we both ended up watching the game, but what was your kind
I
of
was I was
big
glued to
takeaways?
the TV for this one. Um, but I'm not going to talk about the officiating. You did that spot on. We need to go through that again, but I feel like game wise, the only thing that really should concern you if you're a Lakers fan in perspective, it's AD had a for the most part total body of work, great game, 30 plus. LeBron James had GOAT moments offensively and defensively. He delivered for a 39-year-old dude that's just somehow still in the league. Lakers got a third star contribution today, whether it was D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Hachimura. Today it was D'Lo. D'Lo came to play. He responded from his game one, off game. He responded, hit big shots, set the tone early offensively. And then, the Nuggets were just kind of just stuck in mud a little bit, I would say, outside of maybe Michael Porter. But three quarters just they're like the Nuggets, they're good, but they didn't have that like that where they just hammer you. Like they had one in the third, I thought, but the Lakers, they withstood it a little bit, but then it was that fourth quarter, really late in the game. And this is what really just breaks your heart if you're cheering against the Nuggets. It's when they when it's close, when they need a basket, they do the same thing over and over again, and nobody can stop it. The Murray Jokic pick and roll. I think Denver scored on 7 straight possessions to end the game. Like some of them was, the free throws from Murray with that questionable foul call. But it's like, man, the Lakers team defensively, team defense wise, I say, I thought they were pretty good for the most part. I mean, there were lapses obviously where it's like, oh, they kind of, they had a miscommunication, right? Aaron Gordon splits a, potential trap wide open dunk. Like, so they had, breakdowns here and there, but for the most part, they were rotating, rebounding okay enough, I guess. Jokic was kind of a menace, but he's always going to be a menace down there. But kind of just everything went to what the Lakers were supposed to have, and you still lose. So that's the only thing that I say as a Lakers fan would hurt. But I would say the game itself, a lot of blame I would say would be put on LeBron James in a general speaking, right? He has the open shot, um, misses it, and then obviously Jamal hits the ridiculous buzzer beater. But I'm not gonna sit here. Maybe it's because I'm a LeBron fan. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't sit here and scrutinize LeBron James for this game based off of how he played in game one. I thought game one, he fourth quarter, I mean, it was a winnable game, but came out flat. Like he just didn't look engaged. Like he was just kind of the body language wasn't there. But this fourth quarter, I thought when the money's on the table, Denver is making their push. Like that's the kind of times where it's like, yo, LeBron, AD, like I know everybody is just tired out of their mind, but somehow the oldest guy on the court gave you glimpses of why he's the GOAT, in my opinion. You said he hit those back-to-back threes. Dude gets a steal, gets a poster dunk, right? He had big shot after big shot, had the and one off of KCP late in the game. But it's like the one shot, the one you could say slip up that he had. He misses the wide open three. I got no problem with that shot. He's wide open. It's a miss and make league. Sometimes if he makes it, probably gonna have a different conversation. But I don't think LeBron James should be getting any heat after this game. I thought his energy was great offensively and defensively because that was a huge thing. I don't know if you saw this, but I think defensively, LeBron kind of set the tone. Like D'Lo came out hot, right? He was making those shots, but LeBron gets the block on Murray early in the game. I think he had like two blocks in the first half, had a couple steals. He defends Aaron Gordon, kind of tips the. I think he like tipped it a little bit. 80 gets the rebound. They do the outlet pass, and then they hit the ridiculous shot over KCP. So it's like LeBron set the tone defensively, and I think going forward, game three, game four, however long this series goes, that's going to be the key. And we can kind of shift to maybe if you're Coach Darvin Ham, what are you going to do to make adjustments wise? And I think obviously LeBron being engaged defensively, that's huge. But I did like what I saw at the end of the game. And although Denver may have executed it, to perfection, I like that LeBron and AD matched up on Jokic and Murray. They were just switching everything. So it's like you got
Yep.
the
I
I
I
I
was gonna
think
say that if you didn't bring it up.
I thought that was huge. That's huge because obviously LeBron's not going to do that for 48 minutes, right? You need his offense. But I would say maybe even late in the second quarter, like before half, if you want to kind of get that momentum to half, maybe go to that earlier. I think, that can be a problem where it's like if you switch, you can't really have the guy roll in a sense because, there's no space. But it's like with LeBron and AD, two big bodies, two guys that can go out on the perimeter, defend 1 through 5. Maybe that's the way now. I don't know if Rui is the answer. I think Jokic just kind of exposed him a little bit. But you can talk. Maybe I'll let you talk about Vandal. But I thought that was one thing I noticed late in the game that I thought that that can work if they go to it maybe a little bit more and a little bit earlier. I think that's going to be huge for the Lakers going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because I was gonna say I mean I know how the game ended, obviously. But I thought when they did go to it, I was like, okay, this is good. It at least it was an adjustment going forward that I can see, you put your two best athletes almost in that pick and roll coverage. And I thought it was a good play because if you kind of look on the other end, the LeBron AD pick and roll is what AD was feasting off of in that first half, and he was getting the one-on-one even against Jokic. as good as Jokic is offensively, and as much as he has improved on the defensive end, he's it's still a tall task to ask him to guard Anthony Davis one on one, right? And so I thought they did a really good job of getting AD the ball where he wanted to. In that fourth quarter, I thought the Nuggets switched their game plan and they had KCP and Aaron Gordon, right? Or KCP, or I mean, Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon, but like, one of the wing guys ended up helping to guard the pick and roll and having Jokic kind of come in off the weak side to help. I thought that made a huge difference because it didn't allow AD to just comfortably catch the ball in the low block. They were forcing him out on the perimeter and catching the ball outside where he'd have to work to get inside, work and put up a tough shot. And I think that's why he wasn't as successful in the second half. So I did like the switch that the Lakers made in crunch time, even though, it didn't net us the result we wanted. I think that's something to look at moving forward, like you said. But to me, Matt, the one thing, I knew Denver was gonna make their run, but man, I think the Lakers bench squad this year, um, if we're gonna choose to play Gabe Vincent and Spencer Dinwiddie, we need to find a way to get them involved offensively because, I just feel like um they're not the defenders, right? That the Nuggets have coming off of their bench, like Christian Braun, for example. I mean, he's flying all over the place. He's athletic, he can stay in front of you. And I mean, Gabe Vincent hasn't played almost the entire year. Spencer Dinwiddie, a new addition to the team, not necessarily known for his defense. So those are guys, that you can't just plug them in and expect them to hit an open shot when it counts. They kind of need to get in a little bit of a flow or get a couple of shots up. So figuring out that rotation because it just when those two are in, it doesn't seem like the offense is flowing like how it was in that first half. And I think that was why Denver was able to kind of inch back into the game because the offense was so disjointed. I mean, Dinwiddie, he only played uh 10
Got
minutes
10 minutes in
in
this
this
game.
game, but he was still what -9, I think,
-9. That's
overall
crazy.
in 10 minutes. So yeah, like that just can't happen. And then yeah, even like I thought Rui, if he just hit a couple of those open looks
Ooh,
that he had, I
he
mean,
missed a lot
he
of easy
missed like
ones.
3 or 4 layups. And he usually has a mid-range game going. He shot over 40% from three this year. I just thought, man, if he could have hit even 2 or 3 of those open looks, or at least makeable, shots for him, that was a big loss too. Because I mean, he's gonna do his best defensively, but him on Jokic is just straight mismatch, and at least they went away from that whenever they could, right? But so I really think the bench is gonna need to get involved more. Um, for them to have an impact on the game because it won't just be defensively. I think Denver just has their athletes are just too good on the floor for Spencer Dinwiddie and Gabe Vincent to guard. I thought Torrance might need to see a little bit more minutes, especially if he has it going, a little bit like he did today. He hit a couple big threes um when he needed to. And I just don't understand, when he's cold, we leave him in, but Rui doesn't play. But when Rui is having an off game, we're leaving Rui
That's on
in,
Darvin
and
Ham,
Torian
man.
Prince is getting 21 minutes. Like it just I don't quite understand what the logic is there. But Matt, I looking ahead to game three, I really do think like I'm not giving up hope just yet. This as much as today's game stung, I think as long as what you brought up you texted to me, if LeBron carries the mindset that this is a winnable series, the rest of the locker room is going to believe, right? Especially in Staples, they gotta come out and
Crip,
start
the
strong,
crip.
I think. Get Yep, at the crypt. Still not gonna get used to that. But yeah, at crypto.com arena or whatever it's called, gotta get the crowd involved early and let the playoff atmosphere kind of take over and fuel guys. Because I really do think it fuels guys, especially like a D'Angelo Russell,
The role players
uh
should play better at
the
home.
role players, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Bring some of the energy, um, and just I think we stick to the same game plan, um, defensively because it worked. We held them to 101 points, right, through 4 quarters. So I I am praying that Vando comes back because even though it is kind of the double-edged sword with him, as good as he is defensively, you don't know what you're going to get offensively from him, especially in a late game scenario, right? But if we can pull off those, defense offense switches during dead balls, I think him and Rui or him and Torian Prince kind of would complement themselves perfectly. I think they've been sticking with Rui though, just because he has a little bit more height than Torian Prince, and you can live with Rui more than Prince if he gets switched on to Jokic. Because honestly, if Jokic is on Prince, there's no shot in the world. But at least if Rui's there, I know he's been getting eaten alive in the post, but at least it provides a little bit more size and strength there, right? A little bit, not like it might not make any difference, but I do think that's why they're sticking with Rui because he has a little bit more length and can guard an Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter or Jokic if he absolutely has to, right? Um, but man, just if we had a Vanderbilt late in that game, and like I said, Austin Reeves did a good job, but late in that game, pick and roll just seemed too easy for Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. He's getting to the mid range pull ups like Jamal Crawford and Reggie Miller were talking about on the broadcast. The mid range was going to be there. It was there, and once he started kind of getting in the flow of things, he had enough room. Austin was doing his best to get around the screens, but you just gotta live with it because he's not gonna make up for the length and lateral ability. So, man, I do think if Vando comes back, it'll be a big boost. I'm hoping it's like a David Lee situation. I don't know if you remember this, Matt.
Yeah, with the Warriors.
Um, when the Warriors won their first one, they were I don't know if they were down 0-2, but when um that Warriors offense started to kind of struggle, Steve Kerr inserts David Lee, kind of provides a different look for that Cavs team. So I just think something like that or something similar can really help out this Lakers team. And getting Vando back just for that late game perimeter defense, I think is going to be huge. So I think the series is still winnable. I don't think it's out of our grasp just yet. Maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic as a Lakers fan, Matt, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not giving up yet. Like last year, after 2 games, I'll be honest, I gave up. I know it was the conference finals, but with how they were looking, I had no faith. This year, I still have faith because I think once if they win on Thursday, it's so big, right? Because you finally get the monkey off your back. Denver isn't 0 or you're not 0-10 or 0-11 against Denver anymore. And you're right back in the series. You have one game at home. And then they start to believe in themselves moving forward. So that I still think the Lakers can win.
I
Hey, it might
mean,
be Lakers in 6. Who knows?
I don't know about that one, but hey, this a series doesn't start until a road team wins, right? That's when a road team wins in a series, that's when the series starts. And Nuggets protected home court. Lakers just they got to do the same thing. They got to protect home court and then make it a best out of three. But the Vando thing is it's I don't know. I mean, I saw some videos. He was doing some like defensive slides pregame or like in their shoot around. So I don't know if he's coming back in game three, game four, maybe if they win. I don't know. But I think if he comes back, I don't know I don't know if I could play Vando late in the game just because of the offensive, you could say, liability that he can be. But especially early in the game, just to, you can tell him, bro, you're going in for 5 minutes, raise hell. Just go
Full
out.
court press,
Yeah,
Jamal
like
Murray.
pick up
Just
Murray
gas them out.
full
Yeah.
court press, like, like make him tired. Like, okay, if
Hmm.
he scores, but late in the game when guys the legs aren't as fresh, it's like, okay, when that switch happens, one step is all you need from a block or a LeBron chase down or a made shot. So those little things matter late in the game. So if he can just give you that, almost, I don't want to say like a Patrick Beverly, but like, he's just coming in to make the guy tired, make him work a little bit, and then boop, that's it. Rui's back in. Because I think you're gonna stick with the same starting five for the whole series. Like they have too much continuity going. You don't want to break that up, but to fill in here and there, especially if Rui is not on his offensive game, then if he's not hitting shots, then yeah, why not go with
Yeah, I'd rather have Vando out
yeah,
there
at least you
for
get
sure.
some better defense, and then Taurean Prince, like you said, right? Darvin Ham just needs to do a better job of identifying when he's on and off because I would say the first two games he was for the most part pretty good, but there's always that stretch where it's like sometimes his head gets a little bit too big. He tries to take too many threes. He goes 0 for 5. And it's like that kind of
Yeah.
just that kills you in the playoffs, honestly. So I think Darvin Ham just needs to manage that better. But yeah, I mean, Lakers got a shot, but it's gonna take it'll realistically take a Herculean effort at this point.
Yeah,
But
they have to play a complete game for 4 quarters, and that's the scariest because they were up 20 in the playoffs. You have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you still blow a 20-point lead. I mean, you really just have to play 4 complete quarters. You can never take your foot off the gas pedal um, with the Nuggets. So I think we still have a chance, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for sure. But let's get to a couple other games because all the playoffs have started now, not just the Lakers. Um, I guess we'll start. I want to start in the East because I think it'll be fairly quick. I know we said Celtics and Heat, but I think you're with me without Jimmy, right? Uh,
yeah,
not giving the Heat very much of a chance.
maybe
Just honestly, especially with how
if they hurt Tatum, they have a chance. I don't
I
know if
didn't even think if Tatum is hurt, though. Like it's still a complete mismatch there without Jimmy. So yeah, sorry Heat fans, sorry Logan, but I think the Celtics are sweeping uh Miami. Maybe it goes 5 games, but no more than 5. Honestly, I think same goes for the Cavs series.
yeah, I
I
was
think
very
that's two
wrong about
games
that.
now. 2 games now, they've just blown out Orlando. Maybe something changes as we go to Orlando on their home court, but to me, Matt, this is just seems like that veteran, team for the Cavs. I know they're not the flashiest, but hey, Donovan Mitchell, also a legend in the bubble too, right? In those playoffs, so he's been there before. Doesn't have as big of a spotlight on him, I think, and so maybe he's trying to look to say, hey guys, don't forget, I'm Donovan Mitchell. I'm an all-star too. So um, yeah, I think maybe the Magic can win one, but with how it's looked so far, oh yeah, that's a complete mismatch.
Yeah, I was
I
I
think
was totally wrong about that one. I think the size of the Cavs is like with Allen and Mobley, they're so long. I was thinking the young guns, Paulo, I was thinking that could be an upset, but I don't. Yeah, I lost hope. I lost hope in that one. I think the size of Cleveland is too much in that one. Hey,
Hmm.
Cleveland, Boston, that would be the matchup.
That I think that'll be
That's interesting.
pretty surprising series. Itself there, yeah, that'll be one to look forward to. Uh, Bucks Pacers, Matt. Bucks win without Giannis. Dame goes for kind of weird. He went for 35 in the first half, which is like, what the heck? 35 in the first half in a playoff game, and then he goes over absolutely nothing the rest of the way in the second half. But nonetheless, the Bucks pull out a win there, and I'm not shying away from my Pacers pick just yet, especially with the questionable status of Giannis, right? But I think the Bucks showed me something without Giannis that you know they're still a really talented team, top to bottom, and they go pretty deep. Maybe not as deep as some of their previous years, right? But I still think they're a pretty deep team. Doc, you know, did did what he needed to do, pulled the right strings without Giannis. So yeah, I think this will be a good series. I still think the Pacers have a chance to win though.
Hey, but I think people forget that, you know, this is, see, Dame gets a lot of scrutiny because, he doesn't play, he's not Drew Holiday on defense. He's a liability and whatnot. But remember last year when Giannis was injured, right? I think he came back in like game 4 against the Heat, but they were down and the Heat were really kind of, controlling the series. But, who was that offense going to flow through without Giannis? Chris Middleton coming off the injury, Drew Holiday, nice piece. You can definitely win with him on any team. But if he's my quote unquote number one offensive guy, like I don't think that's a good successful recipe for success. But this is what Dame's here for. It's like he's supposed to carry the load or help Giannis, right? But Dame Dollar, he knows how to run a team. Like he ran Portland for how many years? Over 10 years. He's been the guy. So it's like, oh man, he's probably thinking, oh, here we go. Like, yeah, Giannis is out. Obviously, I want him on the court, but it's like, oh, I've been here, done this my whole career. This is nothing new for me. And compared to the Portland teams that I've had in the recent years, this team is a lot better. I got Chris Middleton. I got big guys inside with Brooke Lopez. I got Patrick Beverly to do my dirty work, now as a teammate. And then Bobby Portis, who's kind of like that Swiss Army knife. It's like with Giannis, he's the sixth man, but he's got game. And I think we kind of see like how well he can play, especially with Giannis not in action. He's a he can stretch the floor. He can defend, inside. So I don't know. I think the Bucks maybe match up with the Pacers a little bit well, but I think, if Dame turns back the clock a little bit, yeah, I think the Bucks should be able to win this series. And the Pacers, man, I don't know. They look terrible like in the first half. Like only Pascal looked pretty good. And I think I don't know if it was Charles Barkley or if it was Kenny on TNT, like when they played, but they said the Pacers, they like to play fast, but it's like if you don't make shots, that's literally the worst thing you can do. Like the Pacers, their identity, they're run and gun, they're young, but typically that works when you're scoring and you're making shots. But if you miss and you're giving up fast break points, transition threes, like you're gonna get like blown out of the building, and that's exactly what happened in the first half. So I don't think they can play like that. And I think if they have to make an adjustment, it's playoff time. You can play fast when you're hitting shots, but if it's going rough, Pascal Siakam needs to be the centerpiece of the offense because he kind of slows it down a little bit. And then obviously Tyrese got to play better. Like, bro, you're the best player on the team. You can't be throwing up 9-point games when your team needs you the most on the road. I'm sorry, but that's just playoff basketball. Your stars got to show up when they need it most.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. See how that one plays out. I think especially if Giannis comes back, uh, and the Pacers drop one more, yeah, good luck. But this last series, Matt, Knicks Sixers, knew it was gonna be ugly and gritty and tough and close. But I just want to talk about tonight's game. So I don't know if you were able to catch just the ending of that,
Mm-hmm.
but man, what an embodiment I the this Tom Thibodeau coached Knicks team, right? Jalen Brunson has been bad, very bad offensively in these first two games. Honestly, I think he's shooting like 30% or something from the field. Not what you want to see out of him. Obviously, they don't have Julius Randle. That hurts them. But, on the other side, Joel Embiid still getting back. I mean, he still posted 30 points today. But Tyrese Maxey was really the star of the Sixers today, doing a lot of the heavy lifting offensively. But that last sequence, Matt, I think really just embodies how the Knicks kind of play for each other right now, right? So obviously, down five, right, with only 30 something seconds to go, you have the ball. Um, One for Tom Thibodeau to still trust Jalen Brunson despite his poor shooting performance, I think just speaks volumes. But the inbound to him, sidestep three,
He
gets the
got a look.
luckiest bounce you can probably get on a basketball court. That's probably one of the luckiest bounces you can get, right? The three that hits the front of the rim, bounces up and in, not
Like the
touching anything
it's like
else.
the
I think
Kawhi
that's one of
shot.
the luckiest rolls. Yep, that's one of probably the luckiest rolls you can get in all of basketball. But the Knicks to not give up, they make a shot, they're not celebrating, they're not, lackadaisical on defense. It's hit the shot, okay, right away. Find your matchup. Who am I guarding on this inbound play? And they cause havoc. They got guys like Josh Hart. They got guys on ball causing a havoc. Like all of them are so bought in to that system, right? And Anunoby, another good guy. But for them to come up with a steal on Maxi, they don't foul, come up with the steal. DiVincenzo, he misses the three, and it's like, okay, well, they didn't call the foul. Yeah, DiVincenzo, he misses the three, but here comes Hartenstein flying in on the offensive boards, right, to secure the rebound. Probably the hampered Joel Embiid doesn't help that situation, but not they're not giving up on the play, flying in to get the rebound, pass out to Anunoby, the one more pass out to DiVincenzo who just missed, no hesitation, pull for three to take the lead, and it's like, oh my goodness, what like such a crazy sequence, almost reminiscent, not quite, but almost reminiscent of Reggie Miller's, miracle, I think. But luckily for the Knicks, this time it was the Knicks pulling off 5 points in however many seconds it was, right? So I just think the one really special thing about this Knicks team, Matt, is that you can really tell the team chemistry and the attitude. It's almost like the Heat culture, right? Like you can tell they're all bought in to their roles. They're willing to execute, and they're going to play hard no matter what. I mean, they're crashing the glass. They're scrambling for loose balls on the floor. They're making the unselfish play, right? And to me, that I think is going to carry them um, a lot in these playoffs as well. And imagine once Jalen Brunson gets it going, I think that'll just make this whole offense flow even more, right? But Josh Hart stepped up big tonight. He had 20 plus points. DiVincenzo, he can get hot in a minute. McBride has had a really good year, and you look at guys like Hartenstein. who's played well. And yeah, this Knicks team, I don't know, Matt. I think they're a sneaky one. Um, in the East, I mean, they're the 2 seed, so maybe not that sneaky, but um, you know, I think they can really give if if it's Milwaukee or the Pacers, I think they might even be favored against either of those 2 teams. Well, we'll see how the Bucks kind of play, but if they're evident to that regular season Bucks, I think the Knicks might be favored. And to me, they're the biggest threat to Boston right now in the East. That's just my opinion. Because they're able to win like this against a team with a Joel Embiid health questionable, but a team with Joel Embiid and your best player shooting 30% from the field. To me, that's scary that they're up 2-0 in the series and they were able to come and steal a game um, back to secure home court. So watch out for the Knicks, Matt. Because yeah, that last sequence crazy.
It was crazy, but then there was still some controversy, I think, because I don't know if this, well, you touched on it, right? There was the inbound.
The time,
Was there a
yeah.
foul? But there was also the clip of, like you said, Nick Nurse was very clearly calling timeout multiple times before the ball was inbounded, after the ball was inbounded. When Maxi was on the floor, he had the ball for a split second. I saw
Maybe that's the
he
home
was
court
calling
Madison
timeout.
Square Garden
I
advantage, man.
mean, maybe, maybe, but hey, if that was the Lakers, you would be out of your mind. You would be upset. So,
No, but see, that wouldn't happen because Darvin Ham wouldn't call timeout. So
also they would have turned the ball over, and then KCP or Michael Porter hits a three, so that would be even more devastating. But I don't know, like the refs, man, just get it together. Like get it together. If a coach is calling timeout in front of you, you blow that whistle. It's pretty obvious. So I'll leave it at that. But game wise, you touched on the Knicks, but the Sixers, I wouldn't be discouraged if I was them. I mean, obviously 2 winnable games could have gone either way, but like you said, Jalen Brunson is not on it. I would say even Joel. Joel, I mean, he's not really efficiently scoring. Yes, he's probably kind of hampered a little bit, but Joel hasn't been shooting efficiently. But what about the other guys, the supporting cast? Like, okay, Maxi and Embiid, you know what you're gonna get with them, but I feel like every year everybody talks about this guy, Tobias Harris, max contract player. This guy, like, he drives me nuts, honestly. Like, I would hate to have this guy on my team because like we've seen what he could do as a quote unquote number one with the Clippers. He has game, but it's like I don't know. Like it just frustrates me for a guy that gets max dollar and cannot contribute when your team needs you the most. I think the Sixers need to get rid of him as much as possible. But Harris, Kelly Oubre, like especially those 2 guys, the wings, you guys need to help out, give that supporting role because I mean, you guys make just a couple shots more each. You guys could be up. The Sixers could be up 2-0. And then we would be saying, oh, the Knicks, they're choking again. Here they go. So I think it works both ways, but I think this is a long series. I think I could easily see this still going 6 or 7 games. I think going back to Philly, that crowd is pretty rowdy. So the Knicks are going to be in for a tough one, but yeah, don't sleep on the Sixers just yet. Give them game 3, and then we can officially put a fork in them if they lose. But yeah, Joel got to be more efficient, I think, from the field, even though he's kind of hampered.
yeah. Um, and then yeah, let's get to the West side really quick. So Thunder Pelicans, I think this is gonna be a good series, honestly, Matt. Especially if Zion can come back because
I don't
I
think he's
think we
gonna come
saw a
back
little.
though, right? Isn't he out for like
I mean, doesn't sound like
two to
it.
four weeks?
Yeah, but I mean, nonetheless, played the Thunder really tough. came down to the wire. Shea was able to hit the big shot when it counted, but I don't know, Matt. I think this is going to be a good series. I think the Pelicans win a couple. Um, I think they kind of weirdly match up pretty well with the Thunder. Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy. These guys are all, lengthy defenders and can give you some good offensive input. Um, Especially if CJ he had a bounce back game, right? I know he missed the shot at the end, but if he can play like how we know he can play, hey, this is not a cakewalk 1 through 8 seed um, for the Thunder. I think they're going to have uh, you know it cut out for them pretty tough. So I think this one goes 6 games. Honestly, Matt, I still like the Thunder as favorites, but I think this one goes 6, and I think the Thunder are going to get battle tested here in the first round.
Yeah, I think one guy you forgot to mention too is Valanciunas. I think he's a mismatch for the
Valanciunas.
because that's where the Thunder they struggle, right? It's the interior. They're not a very big team, so Valanciunas he's a big dude down there. He's strong, so he he's gonna punish those young Thunder boys down low. So if he can dominate the glass, give you extra
Yep.
possessions, yeah, that I mean, look at it. You get an extra possession here and there. I don't know. The Pelicans might win this game one. So those things like that matter. But Herb Jones is an interesting one too because he's the kind of the defender you could say the wing defender, and I mean it looked like he was giving Shea. I mean Shea's gonna get his numbers, but I don't know. Shea had to work a little bit hard against him, so if he can kind of just bother him a little bit, frustrate him, get him to have an off night here and there, and then boom, that's when you seize it and you try to steal one in game two. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the Pelicans match up very well with their size, especially inside.
Yep. Then Clippers, Mavs, Matt. I mean, just Clippers came out to play. I think we saw the experience kick in, right? Obviously, I think Kawhi was
He did
out,
not
I
play.
believe, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, James Harden, Paul George stepped up big. Even Zubac had 20 to chip in, and you know Kyrie and Luca, they did their thing. I think the rest of the supporting cast is going to need to step up a little bit more if they're looking to win the series. But honestly, Matt, I think the Mavs to bounce back. I think this one goes 7. Like I really do think it's that even between these two teams. Once Luca and Kyrie kind of get their rhythm in playoff mode, basketball, and kind of figure out how the Clippers are going to guard them, I think this one goes 7. So I think the series is far from over. Um, yeah.
I think,
So
well, I don't even
I would
know
say
what Kawhi's timeline is too, because I think that's going to make a huge difference. But whether he's on or off the court, Dallas, I mean, just the box score is pretty ugly to look at because you got two guys that score over 30, and then it's like, okay, yeah, PJ Washington had 11, but it's like, it's just blanks after that. So I think Dallas kind of starts with Luca and Kyrie, not necessarily as scorers, but as playmakers. Like they can score with the best of the best. Like they don't have to worry about getting a shot for themselves. They can score against anybody, but it's you can score 40, but you're still gonna need other guys to knock down shots, hit threes here and there. So they need to get other guys involved more and play off of each other. You need Dante Exum to, provide that spark. You need Tim Hardaway off the bench to be a sixth man of the year candidate, give you 15 a night, maybe. PJ Washington, same thing. Can he give you 13 to 16 points, as a supporting role? And, Derek Lively, I think, is another one. Can he give you not 3 and D, but like rebounding and defense? That's going to be huge because Zubats he's an animal down there. So I think the supporting cast needs to provide a little bit more if you're Dallas, but I'm with you. I thought the Mavericks would come in, win this series. So I'm still gonna stick with them. Mavs in seven. Mavs in
Yeah,
seven.
I agree. Well, you can stick with that one, but this last series we want to touch on Timberwolves and Suns. I don't know. My pick is looking pretty good for this one because Anthony Edwards, man, he came to play and kind of what I touched on, right? I thought Minnesota, they were deeper, more talented overall. And I think we kind of saw that with one guy, Nikhil Alexander Walker, pouring in 18 off the bench, and you got Naz Reid, who is a six man of the year award finalist, right? So I think Minnesota, they go really deep, but man, I think this is the series, Matt. I don't know if I think I said it last week, but I think this is the series that takes Anthony Edwards to that next level of superstardom. And it's so crazy, but we forget this man is 22 years old, Matt. He's only 22. He turns 23 years old later this year. Um, and he's already doing, going out there and doing this against Kevin Durant and, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. Doesn't matter who was guarding him. He was getting to his shot, and was knocking down big shots. Man, I think this might be the coming out superstar party for Anthony Edwards because mark my words, Matt, Anthony Edwards in the next 3 years will have at least one MVP to his name. Because that truly is the trajectory he is on right now. I said it, he's one of the premier. I would really go back and forth between him and Zion as being the quote unquote best athletes in the league. Um, because I mean, he really does look similar to Michael Jordan with how he plays and how he moves, right? He's just so explosive off the dribble. He can jump out of the building. Obviously, he has some of the best posters already in NBA history. And if that jump shot comes along too, man, he is going to be an absolute problem for the league for the next
Yeah.
15 years. So yeah, good luck everybody. Should have caught him earlier because now I think Anthony Edwards is here and we're gonna see MVP caliber play from him for now until the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Suns definitely, yeah, I'm picked them to go to the finals because
Are you losing faith?
I am losing a little bit of faith. I'm not gonna give up complete hope, but anytime you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, you're still in it. But I think the Suns they need to change something up defensively. Ant-Man was just feasting out there. I don't know if you're not gonna stop him, but can you make him work a little bit harder? Can you just, make him earn his shots a little bit more? And the problem with the Suns is they don't have a lockdown defender. Royce O'Neal, maybe you could, but it's almost like the Lakers in a sense, not necessarily like the Lakers in the sense where it's like they have a guy like Vando or like you put Rui on a certain guy or Austin Reeves, but more in the sense where it's like we saw in game two, it's like LeBron and AD handled the pick and roll. So LeBron just said, get out of the way. Like I got Murray, AD, you're on yoke. We're switching everything. Maybe you put Kevin Durant on Anthony Edwards for just a little bit. I'm not saying the whole game, but I know KD is elite scorer, but he is lengthy and he has very much improved his defense over the course of his career. So, do you possibly put Kevin Durant in spurts on Ant when you need some stops here and there? And then you just tell Book and Bradley Beal, like, yo, like, I'm going to be on Ant for the next, 3, 4 possessions. Like, you guys need to, like, take over the game offensively. So, it's these little tweaks here and there, I think, but I think that's something that I would throw at at Minnesota in game two if I was Phoenix. And if that still doesn't work, I don't know what you can do. I think you're just cooked at that point because and he's just that good if there's no answer. So you got to throw out something. That's my coaching suggestion. And that if that doesn't work, I'm throwing in the towel on that prediction because yeah, Ant-Man dude is for real.
Okay, Matt. Well, that was a good basketball segment. I think we got to a lot. Still got a couple other segments I know we want to get to. So let's we'll come back to basketball next week. Obviously, playoff and a couple series might be done already by then, but we'll
Yeah,
see
hopefully
how
you're
things
not
play
doing your
out.
Lakers recap next week.
Hopefully not me. Yeah, I hope I'm not doing it next week. Um, but the NFL draft is this week. I don't think we unfortunately have the time to do our draftathon this year. But NFL draft is this week. So, let's get into our two teams at least, Cowboys and Dolphins. Matt, I'll let you take the floor as we usually do in our football segments. Who do you think? Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna say who do you think. If, all kind of goes according to plan,
Oh
uh,
man.
who are you wanting the Cowboys and Mr. Jones to take at number 24?
It's funny that you say who do I want because I'm gonna have to. I'll come back to your question because I want the best guy available. Fill in a little bit, but I just gotta say we need everything. We literally need everything because we did absolutely nothing in free agency. So I guess that kind of defaults to what positions do we need? So I think that's one of the reasons why, as a co-host of this show, I've kind of kicked the can down the road, like we haven't really talked about the NFL free agency stuff as much because I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm disgusted at my team right now. It's an embarrassment. The way that we're handling this whole situation, free agency, contracts, quarterback, whatever it is. But to answer your question, who do I want? Well, I think if I recall, we lost Tyler Smith, left tackle. We lost Tyler Biotish. He's a center. We signed Eric Kendricks. So, okay, yay, we got a linebacker. That's our big acquisition. We signed Royce Freeman. Yippee. It's like a poor man Zeke Elliott, goal line package running back. But, if I got to be honest, everything starts up front for any team. If you got the quarterback, build your offensive line, or vice versa. If you want to build defense, build your front. So we're missing two starters on the offensive line. We didn't address any of that in free agency. So I'm thinking it's got to be, if it's a center, Jackson Powers Johnson, a guy that I know pretty well from watching Oregon, right? So Wando, I forget what the word is called, but he was the best center in college football. So obviously that's a safe pick. And I wouldn't mind that. But there's something about a left tackle just being the blind spot for the quarterback. That's an important position to fill. And I don't know who it is. It could be the Duke guard or the Duke tackle, excuse me. I heard a lot of rumors about Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. So really, any one of those three will be just fine with me because we need everything. So I need a center, I need a left tackle, I need one of those three players, and it has to be that. If it was me, I would have addressed some of these issues in free agency. Maybe would have considered re-signing not Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith. So then maybe I can draft a center or whatnot. Maybe you can try sign Biotish or I don't know. If it was me, I would want to draft a receiver, get some fireworks, but that's not important right now because we don't have anybody to protect our quarterback. We have no time to run a play. there's no point in having all these athletes. So I think building up front, Jackson Powers Johnson, Tyler Guyton. I mean, it's got to be one of those two guys for me at this point, but it's more of a need pick. It's not who I want. It's like, who do I want from what we need kind of thing.
Okay, sounds good.
Actually,
Yeah,
I take that back.
well,
I want a new owner. That's what I want. How about that? Can we trade the owner? Can we trade Jerry Jones to Kansas City and can we get their front office? That would be much appreciated.
yeah. Well, yeah, we will definitely see how it goes because it's always fun to get your instant
Oh
reactions to
God, yeah,
Dallas
that's why we're not doing the
draft
draft
picks.
thing. That was like a one and done thing. Like I looked so stupid doing that thing because
But I mean, it worked
it
out
worked.
though,
Yeah, but it
actually.
worked out. But it's like, oh, I look so dumb. It's like, oh, Tyler Smith turned into a nice piece, and then last year it's like, oh, we draft Mozzie Smith, and it's like, oh, but I was so harsh on Tyler. It's like I gotta give him, I gotta be nice. Oh yeah, he's got potential. Bro is cheeks this year, so it's like, like why when I have a negative reaction they do well, but it's like it's like the timing is just not right for me. So I can't make myself look foolish. And
Yeah,
you
you don't
guys
want to
are
be your
messing
own
with my
foolish spokesman.
emotions.
So
You, Riley, you guys are cruel, man. So messed up.
yeah, that was a fun one. But yeah, for the Dolphins, I think there's a lot of different options they could go. I think offensive line is where they're probably gonna look. I don't know if he's gonna fall to us, but I really would like the tackle out of Oregon, actually. Or, I'm sorry, the tackle out of Washington. Troy, I think it's
What
Fa-
is his name? I don't even know how to pronounce his
Fautanu,
name.
Fautanu or something. Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that. Um,
Baltano. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, he looks like a beast. I would love to have him if he's gonna slip. But if he gets picked up a little bit earlier, which is definitely possible. I would like to see them either go center and we'll take Jackson Powers Johnson, or beef up the interior defensive line, since we lost Christian Wilkins. So I think definitely somewhere in the trenches on either side of the ball is the move at first, but I know Mike likes his speed and his receivers. I'm hearing we might go Xavier Worthy
oh
is a
God,
name
just get a
that's
track team
constantly
already.
being linked. Yeah, that so I don't know. Personally, I would prefer an interior lineman, offense or defense. Doesn't really matter, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
at
We'll
least your
see.
team, at least your team made moves in free agencies, so you don't have to address everything in the draft. Like you can
Yeah,
have
because
some needs. You can,
yep,
get the best player available sometimes. But you know what?
that's true because
We got an
we
idiot
definitely were,
organization. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
well, we were definitely busy in free agency. I will say that. We will see how all the moves pan out, but sorry, Matt, but unlike Jerry, at least, you can't knock Chris Greer for not making a ton of moves to try to, um, you know, rearrange the cap space and pick up, 1 year deal guys, kind of plug and play guys.
Exactly.
So at least you can't, we
Exactly.
don't know how it's going to turn out, but at least you can't fault him
Yes.
for not trying.
Yes. And it's like, I don't ask for, you don't got to sign everybody for a 5-year deal. That's not how, you don't got to do that. You just got to fill in pieces here and there. Like 1-year deals, is that really going to hurt you? Like, if it doesn't work out, okay, then he's going to be gone anyway. But now we need a linebacker, we need a running back, like we need a quarterback now that we're saying it's like holy cow, like the heck is going on? And we only got 3 picks in the top 100. So we got one first, one sec, or yeah, one first, one second, one third. So those 3 picks, they like almost have to be a home run for us in order to have even a shot to have a successful offseason because we did nothing in free agency. So we got to get a linebacker in the second round. Then third round, we probably got to get a running back. It's Blake Corum. I heard Brooks from Texas might be an option. Trey Benson. So it's like got to hit on all those picks. But hey, at least your team, maybe you can afford to miss one or two because you know what? You sign a couple guys in the off season. You got veterans. We got nobodies.
Well,
We
yeah,
signed
we'll
special
see.
teamers. We're really good at signing special teamers. You know, we got Butter
Hey, we
Aubrey.
signed a special teamers
We
too.
got $9 million
So,
punter. You know, we sign a long snapper. You know, it's like that's the way we go. You know, we win in special teams.
I mean, special teams is important, but
It's important,
yeah,
but we're not spending. Somehow, I still can't get over that Brian Anger thing. I know Brian Anger is a great punter, but $9 million on a punter, like really,
um,
I'm lost for words at that. Still,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, Matt. We will definitely have our reactions next week. Another thing for us to talk about. So it'll be pretty busy, but why don't we get to your quick little segment here? Um, just a real fun one. We'll go top five quarterbacks and wide receivers. So I think my list is pretty set. It might be a little bit interesting for one of the categories, but why don't you, do you want to start off and go first? We'll start with quarterbacks. So
okay. I'll start with the
just real quick,
quarterbacks then.
top five, one through five. Who do you got?
Should I go 5 to 1 or 1 through 5?
Let's just go one through five for this one, I think.
1 through 5.
Better.
Okay. Well, I think
Yeah.
all of, or I would think number one for you would be the same,
I'm
but
still sticking. Yeah, I'm
I got
sticking with
Caleb at
Caleb.
1. I think that's a pretty set one there. Number two, I gotta go Jaden Daniels. I
Yeah,
mean,
me too. I think that's a no doubt for me.
two Heisman Trophy winners there. Now it's like it gets interesting here for me. At 3, I gotta go Drake May, but interesting because I think he has the talent, but you know, ACC, not too much game time. Kind of reminds me of like a Trubisky potential, you know. But he could pan out. We don't know. So, but I gotta go at Drake May. Number 4, I gotta go Michael Penix. I gotta go Michael Penix at 4. I've seen a lot of him at Washington. I like what I saw. I still think he needs to work on you know, handling the blitz better. I think Michigan gave him some problems in the national championship with pressure. So it's like, how is he going to be able to move around in the pocket? Because if he had time, which you know most of the time he kind of did, because Washington's line was so good, you know, he was shredding every defense that he played. So when pressure is being faced, how can he handle that and improve? But the arm strength is there. I think he's number 4 for me. And then number 5, this one's, I mean, it's a toss up, but I'm gonna go Bull. I'm gonna go Bull at 5. Um,
Shocker.
I'm gonna
Shocker.
go Bull at
Shocker.
5. I'm gonna go Bull at 5 because of the obvious. I think you know he's experienced. Just watching him probably the most out of all these quarterbacks, to be honest. I mean, he just ran that Oregon offense to perfection. I mean, just learning how to run an offense is what you got to do in the NFL. Like, yeah, you got to be a game manager, but it's like you still got to be a playmaker. I think in the NFL, like that's an ability that needs to be had as a quarterback. Like you, and this is why I'm leaving this guy off of my list, and maybe yours is different, but I cannot put JJ McCarthy on there because there's times, and he's a winner. He does what you have to do to win games. But Michigan was so good and dominant defensively, and with their run game, it's like he didn't have to do much. So it's like, you know, what am I gonna get in the NFL? Like you can't just hand the ball off 30 times a game and throw it. You're not gonna have an example with the 49ers, right? That one game that really was an asterisk. Jimmy G had like 7 pass attempts in the NFC Championship game when Raheem Mostert ran berserk. You're not going to see that really a lot because I think teams are going to really force the quarterbacks to beat them. But I just like JJ, he did that. It just happened way too much in Michigan, and it's like, how many times was he put in certain situations. And yes, he answered that question maybe in the Rose Bowl against Alabama, but it's like they still scored what 17, 20, 20 something. It wasn't like, they're putting up big numbers. So I don't know. I haven't seen enough from JJ. It's not really knocking him. I haven't seen enough. And I put Drake May in there because of the physical tools, I think, eclipses JJ. But it wouldn't surprise me if JJ is the top 10 pick, to be honest. But that's my list, 1 through 5.
Okay. Well, for my list, one and two, no change for me. I think my third one might be a little bit shocking. I'm gonna actually go. I have Michael Penix as my number three quarterback off the board.
All right.
Let me just preface it because I'm gonna say I think he has the highest floor out of the remaining guys. So, Bo Nix, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, um, I don't know how they're gonna translate to the next level. I think Bo Nix would probably be, pretty solid there because he has the experience, you know. Um, but Drake May to me seems like he has all the upside, but still kind of a project Jordan Love-esque, you could even say, right? Um, but I think he's gonna take some time. You don't really know how he's gonna pan out. And kind of same with JJ. There's like you said, there's something about him. Like I know he wins, and I know he's been there winning, but when I watch him play, it's like I I don't I wouldn't say I have that same feeling, if he had the ball to go get it, make a game-winning drive compared to Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, to find an open guy and make an accurate throw on time. So that's just where I'm at. Why I don't have JJ there. But I will have Michael Penix at three because I think he's the most pro style ready quarterback. I think he can make all the throws from the pocket. He's comfortable in the pocket. The athletic ability, I think he was a little bit faster than people thought when he ran his 40. It's not like he can't move at all either, but I just think he has the highest floor. That's why I have him at number three, Matt. Then at number four, I am gonna go Drake May because of the physical tools and abilities. Just as a prospect wise, I do think he has upside as a physical prospect. And yeah, for me, this was a toss up here. But the only reason, I'm going to give it to JJ at number five, slightly over Bo Nix, just because as a prospect, I know Bo Nix, he's athletic, he can make the plays, but he's not. He's like almost like a B plus tier athlete compared to a JJ McCarthy, a Drake May, a Jaden Daniels, who to me are A tier athletes, right? I think Bo Nix does a lot of things really well. I don't know if he excels necessarily at being an accurate passer or he excels at being this athletic quarterback. I think he's really good at, throwing the ball on time in a system he's comfortable with. I think he's really good at, extending plays, but I wouldn't say he's on the top tier level in either one of those things. So that's why I would have him just slightly outside of my top five. And he's at my number six. But uh, yeah, if we move over to receivers, Matt, I think this one is going to surprise some people too. Um, I don't know. Uh, I would say that my number one receiver, I'm gonna go with Rome Odunze out of Washington. Um, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit surprising, but to me, it's really the route running that impresses me the most, even in that national title game, right? I know he didn't get, all the ball necessarily the entire time, but he really does remind me of a smooth operator. Um, and I think the route running is going to translate the most to the next level because, everyone is going to be an elite athlete, right? Obviously at that next level. But as a receiver, I think if you come in with the ability to run all kinds of routes, I think your game is going to translate instantly to the pro level. You understand schemes, you understand how to run routes, how to, release off the line. That's why he's going to be my number one receiver. My number two might be a little bit surprising. I have Malik Neighbors at number two.
Oh,
I just think dynamic with the ball. I wouldn't even necessarily, I don't think he's more talented than Marvin Harrison Jr., who I have at number three. But man, as good and as physically gifted as Marvin Harrison is, um, the thing that shocks me the most has been his attitude pre-draft, with how he's kind of handled everything. He's not going to do the combine, and then he's saying, "Oh, like he's not going to do the pro day either." Like, I don't know, that's a little bit of a red flag for me, which is really weird because Marvin Harrison Sr. is like one of the all-time best receivers. No drama receivers. Played with Peyton Manning, so it's just a little bit surprising to me that, um, I mean, he maybe he just knows that he is the most physically gifted wide receiver in this draft. I would say he probably is the most physically gifted. Um, but something scares me about, having that kind of attitude already as a rookie. Like if you're gonna be a diva wide receiver, like you kind of got to go out there and earn it, right? A little bit to me. So the fact that, he's not even in the league yet, but he's already kind of doing stuff like this, it is a little bit, it's just a little bit concerning to me. um, I will say. Then at number four, I have Adonai Mitchell, Matt, at number four. I just thought when the lights are the brightest, you throw him the ball and he's gonna go make a play. We saw that in the CFP. So I just think he's gonna pose a real matchup problem for a lot of guys on the next level. And then at number five, this was kind of tough for me, but I guess I'll go with Brian Thomas out of LSU, the other guy. Um, just because wide receiver you down there at LSU the past several years. And yeah, him and Jaden Daniels in that offense just looked too good. It was close. I actually really liked Keon Coleman. I was thinking of sneaking him in there, or Xavier Worthy in my top five, but yeah, I'll go with the safe pick with Brian Thomas.
okay. That wow. Yeah, I definitely you got me on number one. That's for sure. But for my number one, I mean, I'm gonna pick Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's just a freak, I think. But interesting that you brought up the way that he's handled himself pre-draft. It's kind of like Caleb Williams. It's kind of what it seems like to me. But I mean, Caleb to me was a little bit worse from what was coming out of his camp. Just didn't like some of the stuff that was said there. But to be honest, haven't really heard too much from Marvin. It's just like he wasn't gonna do certain things throughout the draft process. So I would just leave it at that. But I think, the tape speaks for itself. At least in college, he was the real deal. Number two, kind of a toss up between my two and three. But I gotta go Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors, number two. I mean, he's right up there at Marvin Harrison. I think you could have made an argument that he should have won the Blitnikoff Award over, or not. Excuse me, he didn't. He did win, I think. But like, you have no problem with him winning that award over Marvin Harrison. Even a guy like Ondunze. I mean, he was the real deal at LSU, and then you got that combo. It's kind of like a Jefferson Chase 2.0 maybe, but I got him at two. At three, I got Rome. Seen this guy torch the Ducks too many times. I mean, he's got the whole package. I think top top 10 pick, hands down. Number four, I think yeah, I gotta go Mitchell at four. He kind of had his moments, especially in the CFP, and then even throughout the regular season. With him at Quinn Ewers, that was a good a good duo. Number five, yeah, like I mean, I like Thomas. I even like Troy Franklin. But if I'm just gonna look at who I think would succeed in the NFL, there's something about Lad McConkey from Georgia that's just a little sneaky. He's not gonna, blow you off the window with the metrics and stuff, but he just gives me like straight Cooper Cup, Puka Nacua vibes, like just that type of receiver. I'm not saying he's gonna be either one of them, but that's the kind of role I could see him being. And if he goes to the right team, that could easily be his ceiling. And I've seen a lot of his workouts. I think that's probably influencing my decision a little bit. But yeah, I think Lad is a sneaky pick, and I definitely see a little bit of Cooper Cup in him. So I'll go with him at five. But there's a lot of good receivers in this draft: Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman. I didn't even bring up Xavier Worthy and Jalen Polk. So I mean, loaded class this year. But that'll be my top five, I think.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sounds good, Matt. Well, we'll see how the draft plays out. I'm sure there's always some fun draft day surprises, so we'll see how it goes there. But why don't we get to our last big subject? So a little bit of a baseball check-in. I don't know how much Yankees you want to talk, but the floor is yours. So how are you feeling this week?
And then, I was so high, and then now it's kind of like it's a little down. We're not in first place anymore. Shocking, but just kind of the way this team, it's been very up and down. Um, we've been getting shut out a lot recently. We get shut out. We have a big moment in a game. We have a big inning, then we get shut out again. And we have a next game. We have a big inning, and then we're shut out the rest of the time. So it's a little weird, I think. Um, but more concerned with the offense. I think pitching overall has been pretty good lately. Carlos Rodon today didn't get a win, but he was solid. Luis Heel the other day was terrific, probably his best start, and a good job rebounding from that rough Toronto game that he had where he had like 7 walks and 6 strikeouts. So the command was better. I like that. Nestor had a good start against Tampa over the weekend. Um, so that was a good thing to see. So, I mean, the arms have been good. I mean, they've been pretty good. It's just, man, the offense has been stuck in mud. I mean, it starts with Aaron Judge, to be honest. I mean, he is not looking like himself. He had a moment in Toronto. He had the go-ahead hit. I thought, man, if that was going to be his spark that he needed, but it did not translate over because he did not have a good series against the Rays, nor did he have a good game against the Oakland A's today. But now the offense is not, it's just not looking good right now. I think, I was texting Wade, obviously, with the Yankees, but I think it's time for Boone to throw a wrench in the lineup. I think there's a lot of guys that are, you go through our lineup, it looks pretty sad outside of, maybe Soto, even maybe Verdugo now. But Volpe, last time we talked, he was leading the league in hitting or second. He's hitting under 300 now. So it's like, what the heck just happened? He moves up to the leadoff spot, hasn't been, as successful. So I think if I was Boone, I would drop him back down to number 6, number 7, let him see better pitches to hit, get that confidence back up. And if you can do it for a longer sustainable timeline, then we can move him back up to the leadoff spot. But obviously that's been a huge issue for us figuring out that leadoff hitter. We tried Glaber. He's stuck in mud right now. He looks absolutely lost. Volpe, success at the bottom, struggled at the top. Maybe we just keep Volpe at the bottom for a little bit or middle to bottom, which means I got to find a leadoff hitter. And DJ is not back yet. He's close. But the guy that I think now, even with the way Judge is hitting, I think you got to put Verdugo at leadoff. And now you switch Judge and Soto, because now it's like maybe they need to switch that up, because obviously the lefty righty thing if you got Verdugo leading off, but maybe Judge needs the protection with Soto's bat. He's been swinging it hot to start. He can protect Judge, so it's like maybe he'll see a little bit more fastballs or they pitch him differently. But just seeing something different just to get him out of his funk. Um, but even I think I even mentioned this on the pod. Like I can't have a guy hitting 179 batting in the 2 and 3 hole in my lineup. That's just I don't care if it's Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, some dude in AAA that I have no idea who it is, but that cannot be sustainable for a long period of time. If this goes on for another 3 weeks, I don't know. I can't leave Judge at number 2 or number 3. I got to drop him down to 5 or heck, even 6 just to get him out of his funk a little bit. But I think it's the perfect time. Let's switch something up. Verdugo's hitting a hot bat right now. Get him in the leadoff spot. He can steal bases enough, but contact hitter, he's been hitting. Let him get on, and then hopefully Judge can pick it up in the number 2 spot. I think that would be something that I would change going forward. But it's a long season, like you said. I just don't want to see a period where we're just stuck in mud. So I think this is the spark that we need going forward. So we'll check in next week, see how it goes. I don't know if Boone will do it or not, but that would be my suggestion going forward for the Yankees. But yeah, tough week for the Yankee fans, even though we did beat the Rays over the weekend in a series. But your Dodgers look better.
Yeah, but now that's 3 series in a row we've lost. Lost to the Nationals. I mean, we can't be dropping series, to the Nationals. Lost the Padres series. That was pretty unfortunate. Even the Mets won these first 2 games. Kind of discouraging pitching wise. Pitching performances I thought not the best, especially coming out of the bullpen more and more now. I think it's coming a problem. Really need Gratterall and Trinan to make a comeback. But yeah, Matt. At least we ended the series on a good note, and I'm hoping this one will ignite and kickstart the offense. Shohei is staying hot. Um, Hopefully Freddie Freeman can start to pick it up as well. Again, he was kind of in a mini slump there. So hopefully he can get himself back on track. And yeah, as long as the bottom of the order, just kind of does their thing and does just enough, then I think this team will be okay in the long run. Like I said, just need to get healthy, get some production out of the bottom of the lineup. We'll survive. Um, because the NL West, it's kind of a bloodbath right now. Giants, they're, middle of the pack. The Diamondbacks are right there in the middle, and the Padres, they're so up and down. Like, um, at least I'm not too worried about division things just yet. So I like where this team is headed. Like I said, we just need to get healthy, and I think we'll be fine. So keep it short for myself, Matt. But that's all I had. That's kind of a long one already, but why don't we go ahead and round out with our quick hitters? So why don't you hit us with our foolish fool of the week?
Oh, foolish fool of the week happened today on record day earlier. But in the Yankees A's game, there was a situation that went viral with Aaron Boone, the manager of the Yankees, who got ejected for doing nothing. Aaron Boone did nothing, somehow got ejected
Yeah,
from a game.
saw
Uh,
that.
Hunter Wendelstedt, never heard that name before, to be honest, until today. Home plate umpire. I don't know if he just woke up on the wrong side of the bed or what, but Aaron Boone was questioning a call that actually wasn't even directed at the home plate umpire. It was the base ump at first. Home plate ump gets involved, tells Aaron, keep it in check. Aaron Boone acknowledges, like, okay, you got it. I was just asking, but I'll behave. And then, a pitch later, he gets thrown out for saying nothing. but the home plate ump says, "Oh, that was Aaron." But in reality, that was a fan sitting right above the dugout chirping at the umpire. So, you know, it's a regular season game. I'm not gonna, totally go off the wall. But if this was a playoff game, this is like out. This cannot happen. And I don't blame Aaron Boone at all for being very upset. He was very, he was not happy in the post game interview he had after the game. But there has to be some kind of rule where it's like, can you like replay? Like, can you have instant replay for like an umpire call? Like, I don't even know. That's not even a thing. But you like for once, actually, in the million Aaron Boone ejections, he actually didn't say anything in the umpire's face. He really cooperated. He just inquired on a call. He acknowledged the ump, even though he didn't do anything, and he still gets ejected. So it's like, Major League Baseball, these kind of things cannot happen. And it sucks we keep talking about this. It seems like in football, basketball, and obviously baseball, officiating, umpiring, whatever you want to call it's like, bruh, like just because what you having a bad day, you're gonna kick out a manager of a baseball game that counts for something. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, and the way that he handled it too, Hunter Wendelstedt handled it after the game to really piss me off because okay, at the end of the day, we're human. We're not perfect. We can make mistakes. All the guy had to say was, I saw the thing, I made a mistake, I apologize to the Yankees, Aaron Boone, whatever, just saying I'm sorry is really all he had to do. But he came out with this bullshit like explanation, like, oh, it was said from the dugout, so I'm gonna make the call and yada yada. It's like you're just adding fuel to the fire. Like, what's wrong with you? So yeah, easy decision for me. Hunter Wendelstedt is the foolish fool of the week. No brainer.
Okay, sounds good, Matt. Yeah, I'm for my state of the 808. Since I talked about Max last week, wanted to give another Wyanite guy a quick shout out. DeForest Buckner re-signed with the Colts,
Oh
2 years,
yeah, I forgot
46
about that.
mil. So nice little bag extension for him, right? Good to keep that continuity on the Colts defensive line. So good for DeForest. 30 years old now, NFL vet. Always going to be kind of a fringe Pro Bowler, I think, in that area. One of the top defenders in the league. So congrats to him for a successful career and continuing to be able to stay in the league as well. So big news for him. But yeah, that's my quick state of the 808 update for the week, Matt. So why don't you go ahead, round us out with our sports fact of the day, Earth
All
Day.
right. All right. We're recording on April 22nd, and in honor of the NFL draft this week, we'll go back to 2010, where the first overall pick that year was by the at time St. Louis Rams, where they selected quarterback from Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner Sam Bradford. Sadly, didn't turn out so well for the Rams, but it's okay because they drafted a guy named Jared Goff a few years later. And, I'm assuming on Thursday we will see a quarterback picked first again. So we'll see how that turns out. But Sam Bradford, sports fact of the day, he was drafted by the Rams in 2010.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. Um, well, that'll pretty much do it for us this week. Hopefully, like you said, Matt, I'm not doing my Lakers season recap, and I'm hoping it's 2-2 going back to
Oh,
is it going back to Denver or do they do the three games
it's two
and then
two one
two?
one one.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, hopefully um it's a tied series going back to Denver. That's all I'm gonna say. I know some people are saying it's gonna be a
Yeah.
sweep. I am keeping the faith. So I really do not just blind faith either. I really do think that this Lakers team can win. And as long as they win one, that'll start the snowball effect. So look for the Lakers to bounce back. Feeling pretty good. But yeah, as usual, thank you everyone again for listening this week. Have a good one. Stay safe and we'll see you guys next week.